get to our first film then. This is Rabah, and it's a French-Belgian co-production, and it's going to be happening at like about 10:10 this morning. So great.
Fantastic.
Let's not go through too much of the gory detail. We don't want to put people off their breakfast or make them feel miserable for the rest of their Friday.
Sort of clips we could possibly play.
Well, it's in a foreign language, and also it's all
No.
Just let's not do that.
Nah.
We saw this on Sunday, and the film we saw after, I couldn't concentrate. Couldn't concentrate at all. We saw A Quiet Passion after this, and I thought it was like we'll get to it later on, and I thought it was good, but I just kept thinking about what I'd seen.
Kept thinking about Raw.
I just kept the things and the everything that I'd seen with my eyes and everything I felt with my brain. And
What's good about pottery when you've got coming of age cannibalism?
Exactly. Like it's all well and good. Like, oh yeah, she wrote like thousands of poems and stuff. Yeah, fine. But did you eat somebody?
Yeah.
Don't think you did,
No.
Emily. Don't think you did. What's Raw all about then?
Well,
refresh my.
My
broken
we all know
brain.
we all know the furor of a Raw from Cannes where people were passing out.
Yes, they gave out sick bags.
Yeah, it's like why? That's the thing with Cannes. Like, people always seem to overreact.
Well, let's think about the people who go there. They're all quite pompous and they're all the typical Cannes crowd.
Pretty much.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, that sort of tees you up nicely for when you actually go into the film itself.
It does give that sort of like heady expectation, like, oh my god, what is this going to be?
Yeah. So in the film, you've got Garance Marillier as Justine. She's a 16-year-old off to veterinary school. All of her family are vets and they're all vegetarians as well. And in her sort of Freshers Week, sort of like Hazen Week, I think that's what they call it, and like Hazen Week, she has to eat a rabbit kidney, which is the first bit of meat she's had in a while, and this makes her get a big rash. But
yeah,
it's a rabbit kidney, and that it causes it to come out in a bad rash, and sort of really, really messes her up quite a lot. And of course, that just happens to be the awakening of something much, much worse.
Yeah.
And it sort of goes from there quite a lot, and from there, there's many things involving the eating of body parts and the eating of things, and lots of flesh and
meat.
And if you've seen the
very rated R things.
If you've seen the trailer, like literally a bit of like raw chicken out the fridge.
Yeah,
right. Brilliant.
Pieces of meat and these are a few of my favourite things.
I mean, it's an interesting addition to the coming of age film, I suppose.
It's something unique. Yes, it's very unique.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. But the fact that got me so much is just the fact that it works on those levels as a horror and as a coming of age story.
Yeah.
Like, it works on those two distinct levels, and it's got such an energy coming through. I mean, the director, Julia, I'm going to absolutely butcher this second name, I'm so sorry, Julia Ducournau.
Ducournau?
I think that's right. Ducournau, yeah.
Ducournau.
Yeah, but she brings a vibrancy to the occasion that makes you sort of into this world with great haste. I mean, there's lots of characters around there. I mean, it's been called like a feminist cannibal horror.
Yeah. And
you can sort of see why, because all of the characters are very sort of well sketched out. There's no stereotypes in there. Her roommate's gay, and she's got like her sister as well. She's at the veterinary school. She's a sort of senior, and she's very outgoing and very sort of boisterous and a bit of a rebel, you know. But they're all very sort of well sketched out, and she herself, Justine, as a character, is very sort of closeted, and as she comes out and discovers herself and lots of other horrible things, you sort of travel along with her while you're horrified what she's doing. You're sort of rooting for her to be herself.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's a weird combo, and that's what stuck with me long after the film ended, because it's sort of like
there's so many people who try and make her something else, and because she's kind of like a blank canvas, she doesn't know what she is. All the decisions in her life have been kind of made for her. When these things come along, she just sort of thinks that's what people do.
Well, I mean, instantly in that very first scene in the entire film, you've got them having dinner before she goes to the veterinary school, and her mum storms over to the kitchen because they've put a stray meatball in her mashed potatoes, and you can see the sort of shame that she's having to deal with that. And so she the fact that she's been able to come out of her shell so much in this school, despite the horrors of what happens, it is just sort of fascinating to watch that sort of blossoming.
I mean, it is very interesting because she is in her own way herself. She does try to resist. I mean, at first she just tried to resist, you know, the rabbit kidney, and then her sister kind of forces it down her throat, and then from then on, like the typical kind of coming of age, like opening up, kind of gets turned on its head with all the stuff that happens, cannibal wise. Because it does kind of, if you do, I've been thinking about it a lot, and if you do kind of follow a lot of coming of age, people coming to new schools or new colleges and opening up, it does follow that same track, but it's done in such a unique and interesting way that it's just a fascinating watch, really, in those terms. But yeah, Raw's That was an interesting film.
It's
Would you say it's sensationalist or more just shocking?
Not really. Nah, I mean...
Because I've seen a few reviews calling it like directly sensationalist.
Nah, not really. I mean, the stuff that happens isn't really... I mean, so I suppose one plot point in a way kind of is, but the stuff that happens in a kind of... I don't want to say it comes out naturally, because it's not really... It's not really natural.
I mean, there's a scene that has been in particular called exploitative, where a certain form of cleansing, which directly leads to sort of the first bit of awakening, which you'll know what I mean if you see the film. That's been called like far too over the top. That just sort of sets out the sort of feminist ideology of the film, because it's a very sort of opening moment between the sisters and their relationship, and that's what the film is about. In the end, it's about those two sisters who develop, and her sister and their relationship. There's obviously a lot of things we can't say about that relationship, because spoilers and stuff and things happen, but there's a lot to there's many layers of this film, and just right from the start when you go in and you got that wah song in there just pumping through the background as Justine's walking through, and you've got this massive party going on in the background, and you can see it sort of beginning to open up. It's all very, very complex and detailed, this world that they're living in. It's just fantastic to watch a film with such sort of vibrancy but still being so shocking at the same time. Like,
I think the film goes along with lots and lots of... I think it's interesting. It's almost like... What was it we saw recently? Where it's got to say let's Get Out, when it said about being 4 steps ahead. I think there's lots of things in this that are like 4 steps ahead, and it only really all clicks together at the very end. Like, it only really has its full impact once it's all happened. There's so many things that happen, it seems as if they're just completely random, like they just don't belong in the film, and then something else happens and it sort of triggers them all. I felt that. So as I was watching the film, I was going, what on earth is this? And it's not like me to sort of be like too weirded out. I wasn't too weirded out, but I was very, very confused, and I was very, very like, how is that going to work? And then when it all clicks in,
the end does tend to bring it all together.
Brilliant.
But I am still kind of wondering what kind of veterinary school this is. I mean,
well, this is what I thought. Like, I'm very, very, very relieved that university hasn't been anything like that.
Yeah.
I think I would have gone at the very start when she's moved into a dorm, and this sort of like elder squad come in and start tearing at the room and start throwing beds out windows. I would have gone then. I would have literally just said, "Ma'am, pick us up. I'm coming home. This is not for me. I can't do it."
I mean, even the bit where obviously the elders are telling her to look at the ground and wear this and do this, and
like literally crawling across the floor. And
but it's pretty fun to see them.
It's a really bad advert for university and veterinary school. Like, they're getting all the animal gunk dumped over them and stuff. And as you see in the trailer, I'm very glad it wasn't like.
Yeah, it's just so fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Like, it's a lot of fun.
You know what it is? I found, like, despite how gruesome it is, and this is what, again, about 10:15 in the morning, I thought it was quite an erotic film. I thought it was, aside from all the aside from all the cannibalism stuff, I thought the film presented itself in quite a sexual, like, erotic way.
Well, because it's sort of like Youth on the Run, really, isn't it? It's just sort of like, it's all about that awakening and stuff, and like.
I think it's the colorscape. I think it's the sort of pulsing soundtrack, Jim Williams soundtrack. And one thought going through my mind was, this sounds a lot like Sightseers. I get home, I Google it. Yeah, he did Sightseers. He did Field in England. Field in England as well. He did Kill List. He did Down Terrace. He did all of Wheatley's films apart from High Rise. So there you go. He's a long-term collab. And Free Fire as well.
There's just so much that sticks in your mind after, like, apart from that as well. Like, just apart from the story itself and the sort of the soundtrack, like you say, and the moments like that. That's like the individual images stay with you.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's so many like individual horror moments that like and sort of scenes in itself that will stick with you the whole time. Like, there's a scene with a bed sheet.
Yeah.
That's pure horror, and that there's no grisliness in there at all. That shows that the director can craft that to an amazing degree without having to go straight into the sort of decadent or the sultry or the really, really grisly, really grisly. And that's just what strikes you by the time the credits roll. You get that sense of pure rawness. Like, it's such a raw film, and so like, that's the thing. It's like, in terms of characters and in terms of the horror that happens, it's so frank and raw about what it's trying to say that I think it was fantastic.
I can see why people weren't reacting too good to it in the festivals when they were like passing out and stuff. I was wincing a lot and watching through gritted teeth.
It was cringeworthy in it. Is that really happening, or is she or he going to do that? But I didn't feel like I was going to pass out. Like,
no. I can see why those of a more nervous disposition probably wouldn't like it too much.
I was watching certain
I want my mum to go and see it, but she's really bad at squeamish things. But
yeah.
I think she would still enjoy the film. I just think she had a really hard time watching half of it. But I wouldn't tell her what's going to happen.
So
I wouldn't sort of sit and watch her go like, I would just sort of like let her watch it and then see for herself when all that stuff happens.
So you reckon she wouldn't be able to handle proper gore with a proper good gritty soundtrack? That really
I don't
gets.
know. My mum's got a very good taste in films.
Yeah. I mean, for some reason, obviously there's the infamous that scene, what you were talking about, but the one that really got me was the sound design in the film's brilliant. It's the little bit in the shower. Obviously, I can't spoil and say what it is, but after you can.
Yes. Yeah, that's
sounds
horrible.
It's very horrible. Yeah.
Horrible. That's the one that sticks in my mind.
For some reason, that out of every single bit that happens in the film, that's the one that really
the same thing happens in Rings that came out a few months ago, but it wasn't as good as this. Yeah. It wasn't quite as impactful. No, this is like proper weird. Yeah, it's a really cool film. Like it's a proper Tyneside film, isn't it? It's like it's really cool and really cool for school. But it's also really horrific and horrifying at the same time. Well worth seeing. Yes. Well worth
just
seeing.
For the experience.
It's done pretty well, I think. Tyneside wise, I've heard lots of good things on Twitter and stuff from people who've been to see the Tyneside and loved it. So, if that sounds like your thing, it's an 18. It's everything we've just said. It's got cannibals in it. It's got like weird teenage coming of age type story, but
partying, a lot of alcohol.
I think it's probably one of the most memorable films I've seen in a long time.
I've not stopped thinking about it. I would see it again.
I'm dying to see it again.
I'd like to see it again. I might go see it again. Actually,
it's beautiful.
I've just been saying I want to get out the cinema, and now I'm going back to see Raw again. Never mind. Cinema. And yeah, A Quiet Passion.
Couldn't think of
Who knows? It's alright, but I mean.
Emily Eater.
Head was my.
It probably should have been like an escalation. Really.
That's how the times worked out. That's how the times worked out.
We went from like, obviously we'll get to the other films later on, but it went from a really incendiary documentary up to sort of like a quiet caper, back to bloody Raw, and then back down to a sort of quiet thing about poetry. Yeah. Like,
it's quite a day. It's quite a day. Raw, if you have seen it or if you're interested in seeing it perhaps. Well, actually, there's no real need to get in touch. You can if you want. LRJ Film. We're gonna keep the thing alive. So
just don't send us like a kidney or a finger or anything.
No, we won't eat it.
Yeah. Or do
maybe that could be that could have been our big finale, couldn't it? For like some rabbit kidney.
Yeah. Everyone was quite curious.
Become cannibals.
I was very curious.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to McDonald's straight after.
I was hungry. I was genuinely.
I think we all when we got back out, we all like. Well, I was in the toilet after this film, and I looked at my arm. I was like, nah. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
I don't know, but like you've got to think like
it's
supposed to taste like chicken.
No, who told you that?
Don't eat yourself.
Don't eat yourself. Don't eat any. Yeah, this is the film show.
Curiosity, isn't it? Like,
TS.
This is me saying to you, right? Don't eat people because it's bad.
Yeah,
it'll make you sick and it'll make them like not have body parts.
Yeah.
So that's just cruel. Just cut down, man.
No.
And you've got any cannibals listen? Tweet us in as well. We're curious. Does it taste like chicken? Does it?
Just one tweet. Yes.
Yeah.
Or no.